Death, so called, is a thing which makes men weep, and yet a third of life is passed in sleep. Lord Byron. Yes, we spend a third of our lives, or about 24 years, asleep. This is a remarkable period of time for a state that's been likened to death, and of which we still know so little. Despite sleep's enduring mysteries, there are a few things we know for certain. For instance, we know that a lack of sleep harms mood, concentration, and health. Conversely, we know that sleep helps us heal and regenerate muscle. It's also important for relaxation and mood regulation, and it restores our mental clarity after a long day of work and study. Despite these benefits, some students consider sleep a waste of time, especially when there are formula to learn, vocab to memorize, and papers to write. Others prioritize late nights gaming and hanging with friends. Some are, even unfortunately, ashamed that they sleep rather than work. But let me tell you something. All-night cram sessions are a bigger waste of time, at least when it comes to memory and understanding. And your social life is important, and it's a great place to apply all the things you're learning about and conversation and sometimes practice. But a good night's sleep is never a thing to be ashamed of. In fact, it's a vital part of an effective learning process. Indeed, recent research tells us that the brain is never idle, and in addition to its other benefits, sleep helps us sort and build memories, create understanding, and solve problems that otherwise perplex the waking mind. In short, sleep helps us learn, and each stage of slumber specializes in different types of learning. To begin, recognize that from your lectures to your textbooks to your walks with friends, your waking hours are spent navigating and harvesting a barrage of stimuli. Modulating all this input is a full-time job, and though we can cram a fair bit into our brains, and conscious contemplation is necessary, much of the work of learning must be postponed until later. Sleep is our later. And as we drift into the first stage of sleep, the brain's activity slows. Input becomes increasingly internal, and the inhibitory system, which keeps waking thought ordered, is reduced by half. It's a transitionary period, and though researchers don't have much to say about it, I suggest it's a valuable space for learning. Moving into the second stage of sleep, the brain continues to slow down, only to be punctuated with quick bursts of activity called sleep spindles and K-complexes. In his research, Carlisle Smith finds that stage 2 seems to be the single most critical stage for motor learning, whether it's music or athletics. Stage 3 and 4 are dominated by slower delta waves. As such, these stages are often lumped together as slow wave or deep sleep. This is where our brains sort the meaningful from the inconsequential and begin to build long-term memories. To this end, Robert Stickgold reports that this stage is important for declarative memory consolidation, thus improving the recall of your newly learned formula, dates, and processes. Finally, there is the sleep of dreams, or REM sleep. Here, activity levels mirror waking thought, but without the conscious control or external stimuli. Left to its own devices, the dreaming brain allows new information to connect with existing networks of knowledge. As Matthew Walker puts it, REM is where you build different associations, combine things in different ways, and so on. Sometimes the results are ludicrous, like a dream of your mother with springs for feet. But everything relates, and the interweaving of new memories into existing ones enhances retention, creative thinking, pattern recognition, and comprehension. Together, the stages of sleep reflect other lessons of how we learn, such as the fact that we learn better if we space out our study schedules, reduce the fixedness of our thoughts, and create opportunities for cross-connections. Thus, while the conscious work of attending class and reading your texts is necessary, you're only working at half power if you're not getting a good night's sleep. So understand, it's okay to sleep, especially when you're having trouble connecting the proverbial dots or addressing a creative problem. In fact, when it comes to creativity and problem solving, you can take further advantage of sleep science, and stage 1 in particular, by engaging what I call the working nap, a sort of hovering between wakefulness and sleep where you can test out story arcs, converse with the philosophers, poets, and rogues of your readings, examine your ideas from another angle, and generally explore the contents of mind, unfettered by the nagging constraints of the rational or physical worlds. Like most things, the working nap is a practice, so you might not get it right away. But once you do, you can tell your friends and family that your 20-minute snooze fests are actually intense periods of demanding, imaginative, and satisfying work. And if you go beyond 30 minutes, you might as well complete a full sleep cycle of 1 to 1.5 hours. As Sarah Mednick has found, this offers almost the same benefits to your studies as a full 8 hours of sleep. And though this document is written for writers, it's applicable to all fields, and you can read more about how sleep and dream can be used to enhance your studies and your creative work in particular in the short primer, Dreaming and Scheming, linked below. Have a read, and let's get dreaming.